gosh. We're back in town and we still have to spray paint this wall.
I don't even think we slept last night. Oh.
What's last night? Here, catch.
Got it.
Yeah, we gotta get to the studio.
Yeah.
You know, it always seems like you're driving too fast at this point.
Yeah, well, I'm driving. Let's go.
All right.
Hello and welcome to Talk Heathen.
Hello.
I'm Eric Murphy.
I'm Jaime Boone.
It's May 5th, 2019, Season 3, Episode 18. Oh, how's it going, man?
Good.
Good.
How's it going with you? You were so surprised that I said good at that point.
I'm happy.
You're very happy for me. I'm sorry that it's not going as well for you.
No, it's going great. I'm just exhausted. So I
heard that you did your best to assimilate to the local culture that you have adopted and taken on by taking on what is known in my homeland
I believe there's a hat
as
that
a
I can
mechanical
wear for it,
bull. Okay, well, I was going to don it upon you as a sort of show of acceptance.
Ooh, nice.
But because you've interrupted me and asked for it, which is decidedly not a Texan way of speaking, I think we'll have to delay that one more time.
Anyway, more importantly, I actually had my first debate. My first actual moderated debate.
Yeah, I heard about that. How'd that go?
I think it went all right. I think I have a lot of work that I need to do, and while it was very obvious, it was like my very first time in front of people on a stage, and I was just nervous and all of that. But I think I did well, and the video is going to be going up on Matt's channel in the following week, so people can let me know. I'll be doing a review, and we'll go over all the places I messed up. But in the end, I think it went well, and I think that I represented pretty well, so yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Partner, you're too hard on yourself.
Yeah, well, look at you, fucking cowpoke. All right. Well, I was going to say that we have open lines, but they filled the fuck up.
Ringing. Well, they're ringing. Hey, these guys might get bumped. Who knows?
I got you.
If you have an excellent topic that you think is better than all the others, the fact that you haven't actually acknowledged the hat makes it not a joke.
It looks good on you.
No, I just mean okay. Well, now I'm wearing it forever now.
Jaime Boone, the Amish cowboy. All right. So before we move into calls, I would just. I'm sorry. I really am exhausted.
Yeah, I know. I think you were the second longest time on the mechanical bull, but that's because
that's right. I was on it.
No one beats Thomas, apparently.
No, that man has thighs like a vice grip. So
I'm sure that he would appreciate you saying.
He's taken. What the fuck are we doing? I'm doing a Jaime thing right now.
Jaime
That's not
style.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna hop into calls. This is a call-in show. That's what we do. We are gonna have some really cool surprises because we got invaded by Brits, and so we're gonna be bringing them on.
In a good way.
And I do want to say about halfway through the show, we're going to be thanking our top 5 patrons. It's your patronage that allows us to keep this going on. It allows us to keep putting on different shows and community events. It allows us to support awesome organizations like the Foundation Beyond Belief and Black Nonbelievers and
ex-Muslims of North America.
ex-Muslims North America. Yeah. That's right.
I couldn't wear this hat if you didn't support the channel. Let me just say that.
We really, really appreciate it. If you like what we do, if you'd like to see more, support us with what we're doing, please consider going to patreon.com/talkheathen to me. $1 an episode is all of the difference because that is how we get all of that funding. It's a little bit at a time. We don't have major donors. It is supported and grown by you, and we couldn't do it without you. So thank you. Go ahead.
I will add, that's not a maximum donation that he's saying.
Fair enough.
But every cent counts.
Absolutely. Let's see.
All right.
Other than that, I think...
You want to take our first call together? We're going to bring in some friends.
You know what? Let's bring in some friends.
Yeah. Playing it loosey-goosey by the saddle.
Jaime?
Yes.
I will see you a little later, cowboy.
Yeah.
Fine. Take the hat.
Yeah.
All right.
Ain't gonna get that hat.
So, while we move on to getting the next person, I do want to say, if you can't support the show, that's totally okay. If you recommend the show to your friends, thumbs up, subscribe, like and subscribe, leave a positive review on Google Play or on iTunes. All of those things get us up there so people can see it, and we really, really appreciate it. Come on over.
I'm a bit nervous.
You're a bit nervous?
Yeah.
Come on.
So I've been told to do this.
The hat was for you.
You've been too big for me.
You know, I don't know. I don't know how it looks. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce Rachel Oates. Rachel, welcome.
Hi.
Okay, first off, we got to try the hat on you.
Oh, God, okay.
All right. Yeah, that's way better.
Yeah?
All right. Yeah,
It's
totally.
very big, though.
well,
I have a tiny head.
So, Rachel, before we hop into calls, who are you? What do you do?
I'm just some random English person who turned up and they didn't know what to do with me, so they just put me in front of a camera.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
No, I am a YouTuber and I talk about atheism stuff and science stuff and books and animals and any fun stuff, but mostly the atheism stuff. I kind of do it from a point of calling out harmful religious practices, so homophobia or hurting children or just basically any bad stuff like that. I try and come from a pretty human perspective. Not quite so logical, not quite like Steve, who's all rational.
Yeah.
I'm just more human and have fun with it.
You know what? It takes all voices, and I absolutely love what you do, and I'm glad that people like you are putting a human face on things and having a conversation that's not just about attacking issues as much as it is. I mean, you do those things, but you also
It is more about
humanize
attacking the ideas and the people.
Yeah.
Or not attacking, but critiquing.
Well, and you also put a human face on things. It feels like we're just, when I watch your videos, it's like I'm sitting down and talking to you. I watched a couple.
So some.
Let's move first to Joel. Joel in Canada. You're live with Eric and Rachel. How are you doing? Good. What'd you want to talk about?
Well, me and my wife are non-believers, and we recently gave birth to a son. And
congratulations.
Thank you. And I come from a very Christian background, and at Christmas, my father basically says, I know what he means. He says he wants, his grandson to learn about, theism and Jesus and all that stuff. And obviously we have a problem with that. But he basically means he wants to indoctrinate him. I know that's what he means because he preaches to my wife when I'm not around. And I know that's kind of how it's going to go. So we're just not sure how we're going to handle that yet.
Gotcha.
It's a tough call.
That is. So have you talked to him about it at all yet?
Well, here's the thing. I haven't. He has an idea that I'm an atheist, but I'm not out to my family. So it would kind of have that. It doesn't necessarily have to have that come along with it, but I don't know. We're trying to figure out how to handle it. My son's only 9 months old, so there's some time here.
For sure. What do you think?
Honestly, I think it's a fantastic thing to teach children about all religions, not from an indoctrination perspective. So don't necessarily teach them that, this happened and this happened. But I think it's great to teach kids that, some people believe this and some people believe this, and let them make up their own mind when they're older. If you teach them how to think rather than what to think, that's a really important thing.
I totally agree, yeah.
Yeah. And that means even if your dad comes at him and tries to, teach him stuff, your son will have the tools to critically analyze what your dad's saying, so he won't just take everything at face value. It's kind of an invaluable skill.
Yeah,
sure.
And I don't necessarily think I have to drop the big A word. Maybe we can just go through it and say we're probably never going to agree on this for the rest of our lives, and that's how it's going to be. Another thing, too, is it means so much to him. There's conversations I honestly wouldn't want to have with him because I don't I just kind of want to leave him. He's happy to believe what he believes. So I don't want to necessarily shake that. I don't want to convert him. I just don't want him teaching my son what essentially I think is bullshit.
I get that.
Well, I mean, so Joel, you are absolutely within your rights to draw the lines that you feel and view are necessary when it comes to raising your child. And I think that if you kind of see that maybe a different tact of saying, hey, we're not going to raise our child like this, whatever that case is, you have the right to tell him, hey, this is how my child is being raised. And that's it. If there's an issue from there, then that's your father's issue. And while it may suck, you can't own it for him. He has to own that. That's just kind of part of that back and forth that we humans have, is that you can say so much, but in the end, when you draw your lines, this is your child, and you have that right.
Yeah, and I forget what I was going to say. Sorry. Yeah, we're never going to agree on it. I know that. I only became atheist recently. I'm a heavy equipment operator, so I have tons of time in a machine to plug in my phone and to listen to stuff and learn. So a few years ago, I like learning about, the cosmos and nature and stuff like that. And all of a sudden I started, hearing these things that weren't what I was taught with my religious upbringing, So all of a sudden I started listening to atheist debates, your show, other shows, and
I'm so sorry.
I found that I just found that the religious claims don't hold up to their burden of proof.
Yeah.
And I'm actually surprised how weak some of the stuff really is.
I think you're setting a great example for your kid, though. Like, with that thirst for knowledge and that curiosity, that's a fantastic example to be setting for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but I totally, in the end, I get that it may be a tough conversation to have with your father. But if you see it coming down the pipe and you know that you're going to need to be addressing it, it is a good time that you can start laying the groundwork for it. It may not be saying the A word, because your dad sounds like he might have other baggage that comes with the word atheist. He might think that atheist means,
Exactly.
Atheist might mean I hate you, I want to hurt you, I don't want to have a relationship with you. And
yeah,
that's groundwork that you need to start laying now, and saying, hey, I do want to have a relationship with you. I do care about you. I do want you in my life. You know that I'm still your son. I'm a good person, and I don't believe. When you can kind of work those things together, and your dad can start to identify that, get that identity, and seeing that you're not being irrational, you're not being angry, or just quickly trying to change your mind from one thing to the next, but you're really getting there because of good reasons.
Yeah, like I've talked to a few people, like even family members and stuff, and sometimes it's just, oh, well, you just had a bad experience with religion, and because some people just, when they're really brought up very religiously, they kind of just tend to go the other way. They either take it in or they don't, and they think that's just what I'm doing. But I'm like, no, this is years of research, of hearing the best arguments from both sides. So it's not just some stage, And shows like yours mean so much to me. Like sometimes I feel so alone in my religious upbringing. My wife wasn't raised as religious, so I can bounce some stuff off her, but she's not exactly on the same page. She wasn't indoctrinated like I was. So when I feel alone in it sometimes. So when I talk to people, I've even had conversations recently with some people that went to my church who are now atheists, and it's so nice to hear when people are on the same page as you. Like when you guys say there's a community to talk to, that means a lot.
That's so incredible
Thank
to hear.
you. Thank you. I've got to tell you, the very first time I met Russell Glasser at the ACA, we're sitting down to a meal, and I was shaking in my boots. You know, I was so nervous to meet him, and the very first thing I managed to get out is I said, "Excuse me, Russell," and he's, "Yeah, what's up?" I said, "I just want you to know that for 1 hour a week, every week for the last 8 years, when I got to listen to the Atheist Experience, I didn't feel alone." You know, and he just looks at me slack-jawed like, what do you say to that? You know, but, you know, being on the other side of that, talking to somebody who says that, you know, I don't feel alone, dude, that is life-affirming. That's exactly what I'm hoping to do with my life, and that's something that I desperately wanted to get across with this show. So truly from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
I think the other amazing thing is, though, you can now raise your son so he never has to feel alone like that.
Oh, my God.
You know.
Okay, you're going to make me cry.
No, but seriously. You have that
Or
opportunity.
be afraid of irrational things.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got it.
Your son's going to have an amazing life.
Definitely.
Seriously.
And keep us informed. We want to know what happens.
Okay, sounds good. That's
right.
about all I got. So thanks for taking my call.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for calling in. Take care. So, Rachel, before we move, because we are going to be replaced,
Okay.
I do want to announce that there were a couple people who dropped out. There might have been a hiccup in the system, but we have a lot of open lines. Right now, I'm not seeing any theist callers. So if you are religious, if you want to call in, you want to argue with us, you want to have that conversation, right now's the time. You can call 512-686-0279. That's 512-686-0279. And give us a shout. Talk to us. We've got these open lines, and we always hear, oh, well, you just don't pick the good Christian callers. And it's like, no, we don't have any fucking Christian callers right now. So that's your fault. That said, Rachel, I think we're going to get the chance to come back in, but this has been a lot of fun so far.
Great. Thank you.
And I think we're going to turn over to Jaime. Jaime. Or Jamie's going to stand outside of the door and make Eric feel awkward. I'm going to move to the next call. Oh, there he is. Look at that. Are you ready? Let's go.
Is this my drink, by the way?
That is your drink.
I'm going to steal this.
Cool.
In my cool talk Heathen mug.
Which is available online.
So I thought we were splitting the show 50-50 first half, last half. So I went and grabbed a donut.
Super my bad.
No, you're good.
Holy moly, I'm so sorry, Jamie. I love you.
Yeah, okay, all right. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Okay.
Excuse me. Hi. Hey. Hi. How are you?
Hey, man. Pleasure.
Hey. Yes.
Hiya.
It's Talk Heathen. I'm Jaime Boone, and this is Rationality Rules. Although I think you've said your name on air before.
Yeah, no, I'm either Stephen Woodford,
It's
Rationality
Stephen.
Rules.
I know him. Hey. Hey. How have you been? The last couple weeks and everything?
Fantastic. The last week or so has been in Texas, and I'm limping today because I tried the rodeo. And while it was fun and I couldn't compete with Thomas Westbrook, well, I did okay.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Represented.
make Eric jealous and throw the hat on if you like.
I am going to make him very jealous. Now, make sure I get it the right way around, this way.
Yes.
Ready?
There it is. Boom. You got
There
it.
we go. You know what? Rachel has a point. This is made for someone with an inexcusably big head.
All right, and that and now you will be replaced by Eric again. Woo, all right. Let's see. Why don't we take a religious caller? Or yeah. Let's take. You ready for calls?
Absolutely.
You ready?
Yeah.
Don't get bucked out of the saddle on this one. Adam in North Carolina, how you doing? You're on with Jaime
Doing
and
great.
Steven.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for calling in. What did you want to talk about today?
Well, I just want to say it's amazing that Faithless Forum brought so many people together, especially Rationality Rules and Rachel Oates and Cosmic. I could go on and on, name every single one. We don't need to today, but I'm very
was in the
thankful
crowd.
for those who put it on.
Yeah, I agree with you
Yeah.
there, sir. It was incredible.
Oh, yeah.
So nice to meet well, who are my heroes? So, yeah, absolutely. It was fantastic.
Notice he didn't list anyone.
Two topics that maybe you can tell me which one you think would be best. I called in before. You might remember when we spoke. I'm an agnostic-deist, and I find my beliefs to be rather innocuous because they really don't control my life much.
Well, that sounds like a perfect topic, actually, if you're
great.
searching for one. So you're an agnostic-deist. What led you to that conclusion? Or rather, for the people at home and for Stephen as well, probably, what does that mean that you believe about a God?
Sure. So to best describe it fully would be, I think it's quite possible that a God or gods exist. I'm not going to go to polytheism, but maybe it's just due to my upbringing that I have this strong innate belief in me, but I can't shake that belief and I can't deny it. And I don't affirm that gods exist. I don't affirm that gods don't exist. I just think it's merely possible that a God might exist. That's about the best way I can describe it.
I would say that I'm with you. It's possible. What's interesting to me is whether or not it's probable. Something you mentioned at the beginning was about how your belief doesn't really make it so that you claim jurisdiction over the experience of others, such as who they can sleep with and what position. And so to a large extent, someone like me who is completely non-religious or atheist, I got no issues. Like, fair play, man. Like, that's just the position you're in. But I am curious as to why you have that belief, why you are in this position where you are not happy to say that you suspect that there is no God. Instead, you're in this position where it seems that you have would you say more than 50% certainty that there is a God?
That's a good question. If I had to say how certain I am, maybe it's 50.1%.
Okay. Yeah, so very much an agnostic position, yeah.
Yeah, it's I've heard a saying one time, like, an agnostic is on a good day, an atheist on a bad day, a theist. But I can't really even pin. It's best I can do by dissecting myself. I would say maybe it's how I was brought up. I'll give you the 10-second intro on that. Catholic Jewish family, went to a Baptist school, confirmed to a Presbyterian church, went to Methodist and Lutheran churches also.
Oh, fair enough.
Wait, did you grow up in North Carolina?
Yeah, I don't want to dox myself too much.
Oh, sorry. I just meant like
no, it's all right.
Your voice and upbringing don't match the
school in North Carolina. Yeah, it's narrows down the field a little bit there.
Well, I don't know. I wasn't going to
really
push beyond that. I just was thinking about the level of religiosity that you were exposed to and indoctrination that you were raised in. Because basically the only thing that's consistent throughout what you've described about your family and all of those churches is that there is a God in those traditions, but every other point of doctrine or attitude or description of that God varies. And I think that starting from there and then looking at where you are now, that appears to be the only thing you're holding on to still. Is that accurate to say?
Like, how would maybe let me pull the conversation to this. How would I shake this? Or, I don't know I don't even feel like I need to shake it. I don't know. I go out and I do good things and I try to foster community, and I really like what the Atheist Community of Austin has done.
Stop by, say hi.
Your thoughts?
No.
I don't want to rob your show. You go.
No. You're a guest.
All right, I'll rob your show.
Yeah,
so
Texas politeness beats UK any day. So.
Well, we'll see about that.
After you, partner.
I think you are bang on the money, Adam, when you were saying that you have this position where it's not divisive. It's just that you're convinced that a God probably exists, and there is no reason why you can't interact with me, for example, and us to have issues. We don't. So to the largest extent, if you're happy, then I'm happy, because that's just the level we're at. But if you do want to step further, if you do want to start seeing whether or not you can justify your position, then I guess my question would be, why do you believe in a God or a deistic position at all? Is it a teleological argument? Do you look at humans, for example, and see that we're very complex, and you think maybe surely there's something involved there? Or is it something to do with the universe and some kind of cosmological argument? But ultimately,
I would say it's the Kalam.
It's the Kalam, yeah.
I'd say it's the Kalam.
So the Kalam cosmological argument, and tell me if I'm incorrect in using the version that you're probably referring to, is that whatever begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist, therefore the universe had a cause. Would that be fair?
Yep.
Sure. So we could argue and we could discuss whether or not the universe actually began to exist. And by universe, we mean absolutely everything, not just time and space, we mean energy and matter. And that would mean, of course, a violation of the second law of thermodynamics, which is that you cannot create or destroy matter or energy. And that's something that we've observed. And it seems that the Big Bang doesn't really have anything to say on that. But let's just assume that the universe did have a cause. Why would we assume that the cause has any intelligence? Why would we assume that it's one and not many? Why would we put any kind of attributes on this whatsoever, really? Because if you don't, then what we have is that the universe was caused. Okay, that's all we've got. Whereas, basically, and what I'm trying to dive into here is, what is your justification for being a deist rather than just somebody who believes that the universe began to exist?
No, and I think you've pointed it out. I agree with you 100% that I think it is, I would say it is plausible that the universe had a cause. And like you said, and I think it was last year, you might have been talking about, I can't even think of the correct words right now, but when you get down to the really small, you were talking about how everything breaks down at the Planck time and all that good stuff there, which, how much certainty do we even have that the universe began to exist? And that's maybe why I called it now, and I'm so lucky to get to speak to you on this, because my best way to describe it, and like you said, I don't know anything about this cause really, other than I think it's possible that something caused the universe, and that's about all I know. And I think it's possible that thing could be described as a God that may or may not exist now, and I ascribe no qualities to. It's the most vapid God you've ever heard of.
I think that's an interesting situation there, because we can call it God, and you're looking at Spinoza's kind of God in this area, which is basically something that is not in any way like how we culturally define a God. It's essentially you're naming energy God.
I was gonna say Spinoza's God, with air quotes.
I think I might start using that.
Yeah,
that's describe how I do things.
Well, I think it's good, but I think the place where Spinoza and then Einstein after him fell short was still using the misnomer God to describe existence. So what I would say is that the reason that even people that recognize that the thing that is commonly called God, or what anyone would think of in terms of, there being a God in our culture at all, even the non-religious, using that word to describe things that you think exist is, I think, a failing of communication. I mean, really, I would say, if you think about the history of human beings learning about the universe and describing things as God, the only reason I can see that Spinoza or Einstein or you, Adam, are referring to existence or the beginning of the universe as God is a sort of unspoken tradition of describing things with that word. But we're at a point in time where it's better to be more accurate in your language.
I agree, and I might move on from this one day, and I appreciate the conversation, and maybe we'll get some more hardcore theists. Sorry, I'm...
No. Something I really love about this conversation, Adam, is that the way in which you're approaching it, you can just tell that you're not emotionally invested, and so you're interested in having these kind of conversations. And already with 13 minutes we've been on the call, it seems you're at this position where you're thinking, maybe I shouldn't call it a God because it doesn't have God attributes. But the expression that I'm really getting from you, and I really appreciate it, is that we don't know the answers here and there when it comes to these kind of situations, and so we have to remain agnostic. So I do appreciate that, and I'm there with you, because we basically can know nothing with certainty. Maybe I think, therefore I am. And to admit that when we are in certain areas, such as the Big Bang, such as when the universe began, to admit in those situations that we really don't know what we're talking about is something that a hell of a lot of people don't do, and they really should from either side.
I agree so much, and maybe, I don't know if it's a good thing, Darth Dawkins will call up and you'll get to argue on whether or not we're a brain in a vat.
Ooh, let's do it.
Oh, my.
Thank you guys very much, and have a great day.
Thank you, Adam.
Take care, Adam. Through studio magic, I have replaced Jaime.
That was amazing.
Tied him up, locked him up in a closet.
Would you like to try a hat that is bigger than any business it should be?
I do have a giant head. Let's
see what happens.
That actually does fit.
But it does hide your wonderful curls, so
right?
I'm indifferent.
You know what? I was told that there has to be a poll between whose hair, because you have some amazing hair as well, right? Just that the beautiful mane, dude. How's it going, brother?
Thank you very much.
All right. We're gonna switch you out and
absolutely catch you in a while.
All right, buddy. Come on. All right. I don't know if I can do the hat for very long. Let's find out. All right. So,
I think you want me to crawl under the camera.
Yes. Yep. Pretty much. Yep. That's okay. All right. So I saw that we had somebody named Vince in Nashville that I really wanted to take. Vince, you're live with Eric Murphy and Rafe. Hi.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Oh, I'm on. I heard a big weird buzz in my ear. I guess I'm on.
Yeah, that indicates that you are live. How are you doing?
Great. Oh, not too bad.
Good. What'd you want to talk about?
I'll probably get a lot less intellectual than you've been in the last, for how long I've been listening, which is about 10 minutes.
Well, yeah, dude, I'm on the air now, so
don't worry, I'm the same.
Far less intellectual.
We all look dumb compared to Steve. Don't worry.
Oh gosh.
Right.
So, what do you want to talk about?
Yeah. Well, I'm just have a little thing I wrote down here. If that's allowed, I'll read a paragraph.
Yeah. I have had somebody say I want to read a paragraph, and it turned out to be like a 4-page manuscript. So
that's about 5 or 6 lines.
You're good, man. Go right ahead.
Okay. God, of course, does exist and has existed in all probability long before humanity existed. Back to the very first conscious being that had the ability to contemplate itself, its own existence, the world it exists in, must have at some point wondered how does existence exist? The fact that everything exists is because something caused existence.
Okay. So that is right along with what the last call was about. So first,
right.
I think saying that God, of course, exists is presupposing the whole thing we're talking about. So, we were obviously going to throw that part out, right?
The concept of God is God.
Well, then if that's the case, then...
There's God up in the sky, and there's no God past the universe.
Well, then are you saying that God exists in the same way that Harry Potter exists?
I guess it's in your imagination. It's God is in my consciousness. My consciousness exists. God exists.
Well, then there you go. He exists in the metaphysical substrate. Has a deeper truth. Sorry, I'm not. Who cares though? Why should I care about an idea that people are spreading if it doesn't? When we talk to people who say that they believe in a deity, they're usually talking about consequences of hell and justification for bigotry and a lot of these things that separate families and cause people to disown each other. If you're saying that an idea exists because it's an idea.
I have to say, if God is kind of individual to everyone in the minds of everyone, then why does it matter if there's a God or not? What are the consequences?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Fair.
So
what?
That was just a little side thing, though.
Oh, that's a side thing.
The main thing is what's that?
Okay. That. What's your main thing? Because I think we're going to agree with you that the Bible exists as a book.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That is true.
Fine.
Right, and that's a good little segue. I'm going to read my next thing.
How many things do we have?
Just these 2, and then we can talk about them, I guess.
Okay.
There are no contradictions with reality and what the Bible says that can't be overcome by what the Bible says. That's why this...
I think if you're willing to cherry pick all of your favorite stuff and not read all of your least favorite stuff, then you're right.
All of it. Every bit of it.
Every bit of it. So do you think if I found a contradiction in the Bible and you couldn't justify it, then what?
That's faith.
Who cares about faith?
This proof is not allowed. Evidence is a no-no in this. This faith is the main thing in the God and Jesus Club.
Okay, who cares though? If you're talking about concepts in a fiction book that has no consequence, why the hell should I care about what's in it?
I'm just saying, how can you? I'm just saying, basically, you can't win an argument with I guess the Christian religion based on that.
Well, of course you can, because if people are using the Christian religion and the Bible to justify their actions, but God is individual to everyone and only in people's minds, then how can you use that to justify the actions of other people? How can you say you shouldn't be able to get married, or you shouldn't be able to have kids, or you shouldn't treat people this way because my God in my head says this? How can you say that?
That's exactly what you say. Because that's what my God from the Bible says, and I'm taking it on faith.
That's fucking horrible.
Yeah.
Why would you want to live in that world?
All right. There's a God in my head who wants you to go and jump off a bridge. Are you going to do it?
I mean, you can't argue against that.
Yes, you can.
Yeah. You completely can.
That's the answer to the argument. It's faith.
Well, okay, hold on a second. So let's try this exercise. What was your example, Rachel?
There's a God in my head, and you have to believe he's there because faith. And he wants you to jump off a bridge. And my God says that, and I've got this book.
Okay, and I say, but I'm going to fight you on this because...
No, my God says that you have to do it.
Oh.
Yeah.
But what if I want to argue with you about it?
You can't do that. My God says you can't.
Oh, is it because you have faith?
Yeah.
Well, fuck, I guess I have to jump off the bridge. Is that
Sorry,
what we're
Eric.
talking about?
Exactly right.
Wow! Oh my gosh! What?
I mean, isn't that it? I mean, it's...
No, what? I'm blowing out the microphone. I'm yelling into it. What? What universe do you live in, man? We have to live in this world together, which means we have to share values and we have to talk about those things and agree on them.
Jump off a bridge? How many way more terrible things are in the Bible than jumping off a bridge?
I agree.
Yeah. Slavery, killing your kids, is that okay?
Well, if it's faith.
According to the religion, it is, right?
Hold on.
Are you trying to justify this or say that it's bad?
Are you a Poe?
What's
A Poe is someone that's so ridiculous that you can't tell if they're joking or serious.
I'm guessing this is what the religion is. I mean, if it's all based on faith, then you have to believe everything on faith. That's the religion. That's the main thing in the religion.
Do you agree with it?
Oh, I don't agree with it at all. No, heck no.
Oh.
Why are we talking then? What was this about?
How can you get an argument if that's what the Christians should be telling you, right?
No. Okay, hold on. Because that's strawmanning their position. I've talked to plenty of Christians who have wildly different beliefs because they justify it based on whatever parts of the Bible they want to take. And if I really want to be honest in an honest interlocutor, hold on a second.
The entire Bible.
Vince, let me finish. Let me finish, Vince. If I want to be an honest interlocutor, I need to listen to what they say and what their points are to be able to honestly engage with it, right? If they don't believe exactly what you said, but they still want to discuss how they define and see their deity, then I can A, write them off and say, well, I'm not talking about that, or B, openly listen and engage with where they are. While that's a great straw man, or you know what? Honestly, no, it's not just a straw man. You can steel man some people's positions that way. You know, if they say this is exactly what I believe, then you can address it just that way. But if they don't take that position, you're stuck with who you're talking to. Otherwise, you're just being dishonest.
Well, aren't there some that just take the entire Bible, the first part and the last part? What is the old and new?
Yeah.
There are some people who take the Bible literally, but you can't criticize what you think they think. You have to criticize their words and their actions on an individual basis. You can't just say, well, some Christians think this, and therefore I'm going to assume all think this. You can't just make these assumptions.
It's not what they think, it's what's there, right?
No.
They're
Unfortunately.
exactly what is in the Bible.
Vince,
everything.
Unfortunately not. People rationalize people rationalize a lot of bad ideas. The only way that we're going to be able to walk them through it is if we meet them where they are first. It's an argument that I had with someone at the American Atheist Convention at the bar. So they said there is no reason to be charitable in listening to these Christian callers. And I said, then you are never going on my show, and there is no reason for you to initiate conversations with them. You need to be able to listen and engage from there. You have to.
Conversation is a two-way thing. Even if you go into it thinking you're not going to agree with anything the other person says, you still need to listen to them and give them, the time of day. Actually consider what they have to say. You can't just go in there thinking, this person's going to be wrong, so I'm not going to bother.
Or they're absolutely stuck with, a literal interpretation of the Bible. Because
that's what I'm saying. The literal interpretation of everything in the Bible.
Yeah, we got you. Mm-hmm. But okay, agreed. And when you talk to somebody and they say that's what their point is,
you can critique that. Yeah.
And even then, if they say I have faith, then you can say, do you live the rest of your life that irrationally? If you want to talk about what rationality is, right? If you want to determine whether or not the evidence is sufficient to warrant the belief, then you can...
A true Christian who is going completely...
Whoa, hold on.
Not about that at all. Rationality doesn't matter.
No. Vince, you just committed the no true Scotsman fallacy. I don't know, I'm just guessing. Vince, you just committed the no true Scotsman fallacy.
So what was that?
The no true Scotsman fallacy. Do you want to tell me?
You take it. Okay, you'll explain better than me.
Explain, please.
Sure. So, let's see. Rachel, help me with this. So we'll discuss this together. I'm gonna say, all true Scotsmen drink a pint of beer every Thursday, and if you don't drink a pint of beer every Thursday, you're not a true Scotsman.
Yeah.
Right.
At which point Rachel can say, but Eric, look at your neighbor. He's a Scotsman, and he doesn't drink beer at all. And I say, well, that just means he's not a true Scotsman. Does that register? Well, no.
Of course.
Of course it doesn't register, right? Because that...
Wait. You're saying that they're not the
right.
fact that you're saying that they're not a true Scotsman if they don't drink every Thursday...
Right. I'm doing something fallacious when I say that, because whether or not you drink beer on Thursdays has nothing to do with whether or not you're from fucking Scotland. Right?
But what is a true Scotsman?
Exactly. There's no such thing, but saying there is...
Yeah, what you're doing is you're defining people out of the conversation. Yeah. Right? I used to do it all the time as a Christian.
I guess maybe to put things a bit simply, you could say...
but that person does think that there is a true Scotsman, and then you are not it.
And that person is wrong.
Yeah. It's like, imagine...
to that person that's completely right.
Yeah, but what does being wrong feel like, Vince?
Well, what being wrong feels like is what it feels like to you.
No, being wrong feels exactly like being right. Just because it feels right does not mean you are right. And if someone is doing something wrong and you want to help them grow as a person...
Objectively, that guy is right. Right?
No.
Objectively, of course he's wrong.
No.
Yes.
Objectively, in his own mind, he's completely right.
And that's where you need to step in and say, hey, let me help you with your epistemology. Let me help you learn more about the world around you so that you can be better at understanding.
No, you cannot help me. It's in the Bible. It's there, and
Vince,
that's it. You can't help me? What do you mean?
Vince, the Christian hat doesn't look good on you. Take it off. I'm talking to you.
Right?
Vince, the Christian hat doesn't look good on you. Take it off. I'm talking to you. Because I want to interact with you.
Oh, yeah, maybe you're right.
Yeah, I want to talk to you because I want to help make you a better interlocutor, right? I want to work on your epistemology to help make you better at this. And you start by recognizing that the saying, this person's not a true Christian. I used to do it as a Christian all the time. Oh, I'm a true Christian. Those Catholics, they're not true Christians. Or Mormons, they're not true Christians because they don't follow my exact dogma. What you're doing is you're saying, well, I'm part of the actual group and those are the outsiders. We don't have a horse in the race. So because of that, if someone says they're a Christian, you say, okay. Because that's their definition. You meet them where they're at. What you just did when you said, well, they're not a true Christian, you committed the exact same fallacious thinking that they did. And I'm calling you on it, Vince. You need to stop that.
They're not a true Christian.
Yes, you need to stop that.
What a true Christian is.
You don't know what a true Christian is because that's something that they apply to themselves. right? A Christian is a Christian. If they say they are, I'm going to say okay, because why would I make them meet whatever tests that I have so that they can prove that they're a Christian to me? That's silly.
Right.
You're better than that. So don't fall into that line of thinking. I'm helping you. We're helping you here.
Mainly what I'm asking is what is the intention of the Bible and all the Bible stories?
Way too complex for a single answer. And honestly, if I were to presume to, then that presumption would be ridiculous.
Yeah. I think...
But it is there. All those bad things are there.
Yeah. I think if you want to take a very, very, very simple kind of look at what the Bible is, take it as stories and lessons of how to live your life, if you want to look at it like that. Take them as kind of like metaphors and allegories and almost like fables. I don't know if you've ever read like...
Right, but I'm not taking any of it like that. But
no, you don't have to, but some people do.
Some Christians wouldn't believe that. They would say, no, I'm not going to take it as metaphor. I'm taking it as honest as the truth.
Oh, completely. There are some Christians who take the Bible literally, but you critique their individual views. Not all Christians. You can't...
I'm saying those. How do you answer those that take it literally?
Okay, that
we can do.
Yeah, that's a well-phrased question. For those who take it literally, how do you address it? Can you see the fundamental difference between the way you said that then, or just now, versus the way you said it earlier?
And I'm saying also that you can't really address it because it's all based in faith.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
I disagree. I think you can address it because there are some parts of the Bible that claim to be historical fact. There are some parts of the Bible that claim to be based on science, and we can use objective fact, we can use evidence to prove it wrong, and we can show that taking the Bible literally is just objectively wrong. For example, help me out with something. Give me an example. Okay, so like if there's a story of Jesus curing like lepers, right? We have no evidence that actually happened. So the people who want to take that literally, we'd have to say, no, wait. Until we get some evidence that Jesus cured lepers, or a person called Jesus cured lepers, or a person who claimed to be the Son of God cured lepers, until we get some actual solid objective evidence of that, we can't take that story literally. We can just take a message away from it, if you want to interpret it.
But of course all they have to say is, well, I don't have to give you any evidence. I'm taking that on faith.
At which
evidence
point?
Is a no. I don't need.
Okay, then.
Proof is a no. It's faith.
Yeah, Vince. What we do on this show is we say, "What good is faith then? Does faith lead you to learning more about the world, or is it just justifying your own presuppositions?" And if they say, "I'm justifying my own presuppositions," then it's up to you how long you want to engage with them. Because at that point, if they're not willing to engage, they're not willing to engage.
I would say as well, just pick your battles. Right. Not everyone is worth fighting. If a person is taking the Bible literally but not harming anyone, then, to what extent
that's the only thing you can fight do, really. That is the only thing you can do.
I disagree.
I know what you mean, but I mean, like, to what extent? Not saying don't.
Yeah, I think it totally depends on, they might not be harming someone, but if they're still willing to have the conversation.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I just mean like, passing a random person on the street. You don't want to be like, right. Well, you.
Well, you're just wearing a sandwich board, right? There is no God, fight me, right? Yeah, we're not doing that. But from there, man, it's just totally up to you.
Yeah.
Right.
So I hope that helped.
Very good points.
Yeah, I hope that helped.
I'll just find to be devil's advocate, basically. But my main thing is...
Oh, you had that wasn't the main thing? Vince, you're burying the lead, man. Not. Come on, help me out here.
All right.
Last one.
The universe created consciousness. Consciousness created a creator of the universe.
Vince,
that's amazing.
Do you believe that, or are you being sarcastic?
This is what I believe.
Is this true? Because if you're being sarcastic, I'm going to say take that hat off.
No. I'm not being sarcastic. This is my kind of concept.
Okay.
What is? Why?
I don't think we have time to dig into that, but the whole the universe created consciousness thing, I have some issues with that statement.
That we are the universe. We are part of the universe.
Yeah, but that's just mental masturbation, right? Vince. Why? That's mental masturbation at that point.
How's that?
How's that? Well, the universe created consciousness, but I didn't really mean it really like created, because we're all part of it. Like, come on, dude.
What do you mean, come on? How did consciousness come into being? It's the universe
consciousness
came into being, so consciousness came into being by way of us. We are part of the universe.
Well, then it sounds like you answered your own question.
What's that?
Sounds like you answered your own question.
We are,
Consciousness is a byproduct of having a brain. We have brains. Therefore, that consciousness exists within each of us that has a working brain.
Human beings and all living conscious beings are not apart from the universe.
No.
We're part of the universe.
I did not take a position against that. Where's the rub? Because it sounds the verbiage you used made it sound like the universe had some kind of intelligence where it intended to create consciousness for a reason. When you say created, those things kind of get squeezed in with it.
You have to be very careful of the words you're using.
Verbiage, I got you.
Yeah, but without intent, there's no conversation. Who cares?
Without the universe, there would be no consciousness.
Agreed.
So, as a byproduct of the universe, which is part of the universe, is us.
Agreed.
We are made of stardust. We're part of the universe. We are the universe.
Beautifully said. That said, I think
we have consciousness. Therefore, the universe is conscious.
Take up.
What's wrong with that statement?
It's the fallacy of division and composition.
Actually conscious because we are the universe.
Look up the fallacy of composition and division, and you'll see why that verbiage is so problematic. But check it out.
Can you explain it?
I've got two people who are waiting to take the next call, and it would be inconsiderate of me to do so. But look it up and then call next week so we can talk about what you read. That way we can be a little further along in the process. Yeah.
I guess I just thought it was a brilliant thing that I thought of, but
no worries. Honestly, Vince, I'll tell you that I had a conversation with Cosmic Skeptic and Rationality Rules, and they were sitting and they were having these deep philosophical conversations. And
it's more of a philosophical thing for sure.
And I told them how insanely jealous I was that they get to have people to bounce this kind of stuff off of, because for years I wanted to have those discussions and I never got to. But when you can find those places where you can have those discussions, check out our Discord, check it out on Facebook. You know, there are a lot of places where you can go that you can engage in those discussions. Oh my gosh, it sounds like you're hungry for those conversations. And I know what that feels like. But look.
Definitely.
All right?
Cool.
All right. Take care, brother.
All right.
All right.
See ya. Bye.
Sorry, I kind of walked on you on that one.
No, that's fine. Don't worry. That was intense.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, I know that
wasn't really sure what to think of that.
Well, I think I'm going to beg Jaime to take call number 6. And I'm going to... Oh, yeah. All right. With that, we are going to pass it back.
Back on over to me. You thought you were...
Yeah, well, I just thought if I crawled under, like, my head would be bobbing along. Really awkward.
We're having a good time. Wow, I don't know whether to start with all of the various reactions I had to things from the previous call and just say them now all at once in like a giant explosion of what? What? No, how did you come to that conclusion? What? Oh, that's cool, Eric. I can bounce ideas. That's fine. There, I think I pretty much covered them.
That was a good call. I hope ours
was
as edifying and entertaining.
I think that it will be equally both of those things, because we are on with Otangelo from Brazil.
Yes, hello.
Hello, how are you? You're on Talk Heathen with Jaime and Steven. Had to say it that way because it rhymes.
I'm fine, thanks. And you guys. Okay, I would like to ask you following. Let's suppose that you arrive at the library and there you find the book. You sit down and open the book. There is no author. You don't know who wrote the book, but on the first pages you see a blueprint, a precise construction metal to make a factory. And then you look further in the book.
Sorry, Otangelo, you're kind of cutting in and out a little bit. We see that the blueprint does what?
You see a blueprint of a factory, a drawing how to make a specific factory in that book, okay? And then you look further and you see the factory precisely made upon the instructions of that blueprint.
Okay.
But there is no author whatsoever about who drew or made the blueprint, and neither who made the factory.
And yes?
And now the question which you will ask to yourself, you have two options here. You have to ask yourself, was the blueprint and the factory pictured in the book rather made by intelligent beings, or was it rather the product of random, unguided events? What do you think is a more probable inference?
Can I ask you a straight question which approaches this obliquely? Would that be okay?
Yeah, I'll leave the straight questions to you and I'll take the gay ones. Go.
Well, there you go.
Thank you, sir.
Can I ask whether or not you accept evolution by natural selection?
I think at this moment, I am asking you, what is the better inference and explanation?
Otangelo, you need to answer his question.
If you can just answer my question, because it allows me to understand how best to approach this topic with you. Because what you presented was essentially your own rendition of Paley's watchmaker analogy. The difference being is that with Paley's watchmaker analogy, it basically goes as follows. If you were walking across a beach and you found a pocket watch on the floor, you would know that an intelligent creator made it simply by virtue of it being complex. It's similar to what your argument was about, hey, look at these signs of complexity. Surely there was an intelligence behind it. And it's a false analogy fallacy coupled with a black and white fallacy. And the black and white aspect is that you've said that we have two options, which wasn't justified. And this is why I asked about evolution by natural selection, because that's the third option and it tends to be the one that's correct. But here's an example of a black and white fallacy so you can see how this fallacious way of thinking is incorrect. You know the pyramids in Egypt? So my question...
Can I answer to you why I think it's not a black and white fallacy?
Okay, you go for it. We'll go that way.
Because biological cells and the origin of life has nothing to do with evolution. Evolution depends on DNA replication.
Yeah.
And you have to explain DNA replication as the origin of abiogenesis. And you cannot explain the origin of life with evolution.
So you're right to distinguish the differences between evolution by natural selection, because evolution just means change over time, and the best theory that we have is natural selection. And you're right to distinguish that from abiogenesis, which is how single-celled life basically emerges. Because the reason I say single-celled is because we had single-celled life on Earth for, I think it was something near about 2 billion years before we had multicellular. So you're right to distinguish between the two, and they're different topics. The thing is, we know a hell of a lot about evolution by natural selection. It informs basically all of the advancements that we've made in medical fields, honestly, in so many fields, evolution by natural selection is predicated upon. Whereas we know very little about abiogenesis. Sorry, one second. So we know very little about abiogenesis, but we know a hell of a lot about evolution.
I don't know your name.
My name is Stephen.
Stephen. Okay, Stephen. Do you know that science has figured out the minimal necessity of parts to start life?
No,
and there is a science.
No, we haven't.
No,
that is. I forgive me for cutting you off. It may seem rude. We don't know this. For one, honestly, if you look at the grand cosmos around us, we have basically put a cup in the ocean and we've looked at it and went, yep, no whales. Because that's basically how we're operating at the moment. We know nothing about so many things. There may be silicon-based life, for example.
Silicon-based life is not possible.
How do you know this?
Known by science.
So,
life is only possible carbon-based.
That is
I come back
assertion,
to my assertion that the minimal cell, that cell size that we know of.
Can you justify that assertion? Could you please try to justify that assertion? How you know
life,
for a fact that we cannot have silicon-based life? How do you know that?
Because the bones, they are unstable.
Yeah, but why do organisms need bones? Why can't entities not have bones?
You cannot. You need amino acid backbones based on carbon.
No, carbon-based life needs amino acid. Silicon-based life could operate under a rubric that is so different to what we're used to.
Well, there is no evidence, Stephen, that life is possible based on silicon.
But that's not how you come to a logical conclusion about what is and isn't possible.
So I'm with you. You get this position where you say that we have to say that we've not observed it. So the default position is to say that we believe, not know, we believe that it's probably not the case. But that's on incomplete information.
Without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. If there is no evidence that life based on silicon is possible, then there is no reason to stick to that.
But here's the thing: I'm
for belief that it's possible. But as I say,
Otangelo, I think you missed the last part of what he said and the point that he was making.
I'm not claiming that it is the case that there's life that's based on silicon. I would have a burden of proof to substantiate. It's an extraordinary claim, and as you just said, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. But you are actually saying that it's not the case, which equally has a burden of proof that is very, very hard to fulfill. And when I'm asking you to fulfill it, you're just saying that we haven't seen it, therefore it's true.
Silicon is not producing stable molecules, so it is not possible to make life based on silicon. This is science. This is not my assertion. This is what science.
It is an assertion, and that's not how science comes to conclusions at all. And so there's a fundamental problem here, which is when there's insufficient data and we don't have an understanding of how something could happen. It's the reason why scientists don't say, "Oh, we've definitely figured everything out." They don't even say that about evolution because they couch what they say in scientific terms that don't assert certainty, like the statements you are making. So I would ask that if you're making statements, particularly ones that are as bold and absolute as the ones you're making, which is, "Oh, it is impossible to have something that we would call life based on silicon," that you not say, "and science as a single entity agrees with me," because a more accurate way of describing that would be, based on our understanding of life and silicon and the way that it forms, it seems unlikely that there would be something that we would call life based on silicon rather than carbon.
Okay, so we agree on that. Can we agree on that it is unlikely?
Can you, do you understand the point that I'm making with my statement? Because it's not about silicon. It's about the way that you are communicating generally, and I think under that, the way in which you're coming to conclusions.
Yes, I mean, we can just stick to unlikely or more likely. I like this approach.
Okay, cool. If I can take us back to where it seems the essence, the crux of your call was coming from, which is the irreducible complexity, as it's written down here. What you essentially presented is a teleological argument, and you're seeing complexity, and you're saying that either one, there's an intelligence that intended for that to come to fruition, or two, it was random chance. Is that a fair and accurate way of presenting your argument, perhaps more succinctly?
Yes. My claim is that we have just two options to explain the origin of life, two mechanisms. One, chance, the second one, design.
So this is...
Evolution is excluded because evolution only starts when life started and when DNA replication starts.
But the thing is you're not looking at rubble, you're looking at an entire building. That's what's interesting you. That's where you're getting the complexity from. That's where you're getting the attribution of a designer. And this is the difference, because while abiogenesis will have this situation where single-celled organisms are proliferated, they're created, if you will, and we don't know the ins and outs of it. The equivalent of the building that you're referring to, or the pocket watch, is like the human eye, or it's the human hand, or it's a squirrel's nuts. Because what I'm saying is that's where the complexity is. Right, that's the equivalent of the building.
Complex factories.
But what I'm driving at here, if you just wouldn't mind, is that when we look at the complexity of, let's say, a chimpanzee's elbow, it's incredibly complex, and it gives the impression that there must have been a conscious, intelligent designer that wanted it to be that way because of its complex structure. This is why I brought up evolution by natural selection, because as it turns out, we have a way in which that can occur that correlates with all of the objective and verifiable evidence that we have, and it does not necessitate a conscious mind. So when you're talking about this building, just one second, I promise I'll let you go on, but when you're talking about this building, which is the equivalent of the pocket watch, that is where you're seeing the complexity, and you're saying that one, it's either a designer, or two, it's random chance. And I'm telling you that we know, luckily, in this day and age, that evolution by natural selection can do it, and it's not conscious.
I told you, to explain the origin of life, you cannot bring into the game evolution.
The point that Stephen is making here, Otangelo, is that you are bringing evolution into the game when you're saying it's complex. The complexity that arises as the result of evolution by natural selection. The chimpanzee, all of the complicated things that you would possibly give in biology are the result of evolution by natural selection acting on very, very, very simple one-cell organisms. So if you're going to talk about how complicated the origins of life are, the thing that you're talking about existing is a one-cell organism at best.
Or put it this way, just because I think I promise I'll let you talk, but just put it this way. You know how you were talking about the building? The reason why that is analogous to an elbow is because of the complexity behind it. If you was just saying there's a pebble, then your argument with it correlating with abiogenesis would be fair, but then you wouldn't have the thing that you need, and that is the thing that looks like there's design.
Well, single cells are extremely complex factories, and the origin of
so is
life,
a rock.
if we suppose... No.
The factory parts of that single cell evolved over time. So if you're going without the evolution, it didn't have all of the various parts of an organic cell that we know today.
Well, as I told you, science knows the smallest living single cell is a mycoplasma, and it has about 200 genes, and it needs many, many different functionalities. Yep. And what has to be explained is how these functionalities, also self-replication, could have started without evolution. Evolution is not an explanation for the origin of life. Evolution depends on DNA replication.
Yes, so it's an explanation for the complexity that results after the creation of life. So the water cycle in pick your favorite geographic region is also incredibly complex and involves many components, etc. Was that intelligently designed? There's lots of ways of looking at something going, wow, there are lots of parts involved here.
We could even do it with the pebble, right?
Yeah, a single atom is incredibly complex. Why not start there and say, therefore God created everything?
As I told you, cells are factories, not in a figurative sense, but in a literal sense.
So I think you're missing the point here. Unfortunately, Otangelo, because we're swapping in and out, I'm gonna have to move on. I really do hope that you call back next week as well, because I think Eric would do this. Sorry to cut you off.
Not at all.
Additionally, you've been talking about how science knows all of these things. If you can get science to call in next week, that would be good. We can have like a three-way conversation. But hopefully we'll be able to talk online. I know you sent me a message. And we'll talk to you next week. I hope you have a good day.
I would also add thank you for the call.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. And so what I will say is that very quickly, I think, let us just sneak this call in with Greg from Redwood City. How are you doing? You're on with Jaime and Stephen.
Hey, Jaime. Hey, Stephen.
Hey, buddy.
Mm-hmm. Hey, so the call screener says that your question is there a difference between lifelong atheists and those who were previously religious? My short answer to that is yes. All apostates are infidels, but not all infidels are apostates. So that would be the distinction I would draw.
That's a good argument.
Yeah.
We're different.
Well, what I really want to know is, I am a lifelong atheist, and let me just tell you a little bit of background.
Mm-hmm.
I come from a very irreligious family to the point where, as a child, I didn't understand why some people were religious and some people weren't. I later discovered why, but what do you think about the difference between someone like me and somebody who was indoctrinated, essentially?
It's a difference in circumstance of birth and probably nothing else significant.
I don't know.
I don't
I'm
think
not so
there's-
sure about that.
I don't think that there's any on the aggregate for individuals. You can't speak broadly, but on the aggregate, the circumstances of a person's birth almost entirely dictate many of the broader conclusions that they would at least initially come to before, reaching a sort of age of reason or being exposed sufficiently to an idea of questioning things. But at the age of 5, you pretty much believe things based on your upbringing.
For me, as somebody
Right.
who's basically been a lifelong atheist as well, I have noticed differences from when I talk to people who haven't been in this situation, and that is that, for example, my friend Alex O'Connor released a video expressing how he fears hell. He doesn't anymore, but how he feared hell, let's say, even though he was non-religious. To me, this is bizarre. It's like someone saying they fear not getting into Valhalla. It's a really odd thing to experience, but there seems to be differences in the emotional attachment, the psychological aspects, because of what is essentially, if you will, psychological abuse. So a lot of people, they think that they've won the lottery. They've said that you really matter. The universe was created with you in mind. You're going to see your loved ones again. All of these wonderful fruits are yours, and all you've got to do is accept Jesus as your savior or whatever it might be. And then when they figure out, you know what, that was all crap, while they actually haven't lost anything physical, they have absolutely lost something psychological. And I noticed that as a big difference between me, as someone who's basically all my life been an atheist, against somebody who very much did think that they had won the lottery.
Hey. Yeah, so I think I understand now why it seemed that we disagreed, because mostly I thought you were asking a difference inherently in, like, oh, this is the type of person that would remain a believer for longer, and this is a person that would never have accepted. So certainly the circumstances of one's upbringing distinguish the result. Yeah. In the same way that any kind of psychological abuse as a child would.
But to get out of it, we're both playing chess. So it's the same things.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean.
All right, then.
Well, thank you, Greg. And
Thank you, Greg.
That was a good call.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too.
Go without God. And with that, we're going to pass it over to my lovely co-host who's going to stop trying to fix my suit, Eric.
Aw, he called me lovely. All right.
Like a teddy bear?
Yeah, maybe. All right. So, jeez. I've been informed that a poll has been put up that is where people can currently vote right now who has the better hair, me or Rationality rules. Let's see that vote. Let's do it.
Feeling a little left out.
Well, it would be no contest. Come on, you gotta. All right. So I really, really want to talk to Colin in the UK. Colin, you're live with Eric and Rachel. Colin? Colin going once. Colin going twice. Colin's back on hold.
It's really looking forward to another English accent.
You know, maybe if Colin comes back, maybe the call screener can let us know if they're still there.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, I think it's because I hate myself. Mr.
Wow.
Intelligent Design. But why, though? But why? Hi.
Hi, good morning from Japan.
Hello in
Hi,
Japan.
Eric.
Hi. So our dear friend Ocean in the front, I believe his head just exploded Scanners style right now. When
Is that not his happy face?
No, I think he's done. So, Mr. Intelligent Design, why should we be talking to you? What did you want to talk about? Is it about discovering intelligence?
Yeah, I have many topics. Actually, last week I just called because I was sharing the phylogeny challenge that Aaron Ra had uploaded in YouTube, but we didn't have a time to discuss because we have a short of time. So Jaime told me to call back again so that we could clarify what was the challenge and what was the answer, so that many people could understand real science, real explanation in science, something like that. So that's the reason why I call again.
Oh, got it. Well, I don't have that in front of me. I can pop you back on hold until Jaime comes back, and then we can see if he knows it. Unless you remember it.
No,
Nope.
I didn't see the show last week.
How dare you?
I'm a bad
You
person.
were here.
I know.
How could you not?
I was sat in the sun outside.
That just breaks my heart.
I'm so
All
sorry.
right, Mr. Intelligent Design, I'll pop you back on hold, and we'll see if Jaime remembers it. Okay?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you. Absolutely. You know, he's polite. He is polite. I want to try Tom again. Tom in the UK. Tom.
No, I'm
Hey, Eric, how are you?
There we go.
Hey! All right. Now we're cooking. How are you doing? You're live with Eric and Rachel.
Yeah, just want to know how you have morality without God, to be honest.
Oh, that's a classic.
Mm-hmm. Is that how anyone has morality without God, or us in particular?
No, do you not think you need the Bible for morality?
Oh, definitely not. I mean, have you seen some of the stuff that's in the Bible? Have you read it? What about the stuff about,
I have, but I think that's it's a different time. That's my issue.
It's a different time. Was there ever a time when slavery was okay?
No, but...
Was there ever a time when it was okay to take your son out, bind him, and slaughter him?
That's what I was going to bring up.
Right?
No, but...
What about genocide, Tom? Hold on. No. I just pulled a Matt. Fuck me. Sorry, Tom, I apologize. Is genocide ever okay?
No, obviously not.
Okay.
I want to pull you up a little bit more on this whole, it was a different time thing. Because if you're going with that, then you're assuming that society at the time kind of influences morals. So...
It was archaic views. They needed some sort of structure to...
All right, then. So if that can be influenced by society at the time, why can't we influence our morals by society now? Why do we still need the Bible?
Well, no, I agree. I think it should be like a Bible 2.0. I agree with that.
Do you think we need a Bible? Do you think we need to rewrite the Bible? Or can people not just come up with their own ideas?
Have you seen how fucked up the world is at the moment?
Some of it is. There's some good in the world as well.
Grab me a Bible from the corner over there.
Why do you think the Bible in particular for morality? Why not the Quran?
It's just how we've been raised, to be honest.
Yeah.
But please is appreciated.
But I think everyone needs that. I think everyone needs a structure when they're born.
So
we should
why
pass down to our children a structure, and we can follow that structure.
I'd agree. Parents need to teach their kids right from wrong. They need to teach them how to think. They need to teach them how to look after other people. Why does that come from the Bible? Why the Bible in particular?
I just think it's a good moral compass.
Because of the slavery and the killing babies?
No, as I said, that's archaic, and that was back then.
So how do you?
We needed a Bible 2.0.
We can work on the one that exists. I've got one in front of me.
Why not a Quran 2.0?
Well, Muhammad was a pedophile, so fuck Muhammad.
And God was a genocidal maniac who insisted on eventually creating these rules of ritualistic cannibalism. I mean, there's some weird stuff, dude.
Yeah, you got a point.
Yeah. So I've got a Bible right here in front of me. So let's go to one that we're probably both going to agree on. Leviticus. Have you read Leviticus?
Yeah.
Okay. How many Levitical laws are there that we should follow?
I honestly can't remember. I've not read it for a long time, to be honest.
Oh, no worries.
Do you eat shellfish?
Personally, no.
Okay. Well, you're more moral than me then.
What about wearing mixed fabrics or
planting 2 crops in the same field?
Yeah,
That's bad.
or stoning your children for disobeying you.
How do you feel about gay people?
Or murdering, not just gay people, but people who having sex with your family, which is weird, but straight up murder, like.
Have you ever had a girlfriend who cheated on you? Did you stone her?
Ooh. Or do you think that it's okay to marry your rapist?
I'm saying it's archaic. We need a Bible 2.0.
Okay, so these in Leviticus probably we don't need.
What was it there?
I'd like to come back.
Depends what it says.
We just told you. Right, the Mosaic laws. The laws that passed on by Moses.
I'd like to really come back to what you said about how it's just the way you've been raised. Do you think if you'd been born in a Muslim family, your views would be different?
Yeah.
So why are your views about the Bible more valid than someone who was born and raised Muslim?
But no, that's what I mean. I think we need a moral code. It doesn't have to be the Bible. It can be any book.
Okay.
And it's how it's passed down. I think you should pass down to your kids a moral code, and I think the Bible is a good one. The Quran has got good points, I imagine.
I wholeheartedly...
Apart from Muhammad being a pedophile.
Well,
I was with you until you said the Bible's a good one.
Yeah, it's a pretty shit one. I mean, we can work on a Bible 2.0. I like this idea. But then again, you also have to probably consider the point that our morality right now in 2019 is better than it was in 1919. And that's better than it was in 1819. So I wouldn't say that a moral code that you write down right now will always and forever be the only morals that we hold, because we continue to grow morally as a species, which is fucking amazing.
I'd be interested to know by what standards you would judge what is moral and what isn't. What should go in your Bible 2.0? How do you judge that?
I think basically we should look at like British laws at the moment. Go off that.
Yeah.
It's a shame. Honestly, it's a shame. I think God should come down and rewrite the Bible, going off British laws, because we have got a good set of morals in this country.
What?
And I think Steve Woodford's head just exploded.
Why do you think God hasn't come down yet? If he cared about us, surely he'd have come down and given us a second Bible by now, right?
Honestly, I really can't answer that question.
Yeah. Do you think we should ask him?
Do you think it would be moral for that God to answer when we ask?
Yeah, definitely.
So if that God doesn't answer, do you think that God is a moral creature?
It's something that's been troubling me. Like, to be honest, I've been thinking about it a long time.
Sure, I agree. But let's start somewhere where we can really dig in, right? We brought up the issues in the Bible because you said the Bible, and it's important to be able to honestly take a look. And it sounds like you really are taking a look, but you're getting tied down by a couple things that are just, I think, once you think about it, are superfluous, right? Like we brought up Levitical laws, right? No grain offering that you bring to the Lord shall be made with leavening, or you shall burn no leaven nor any honey as a food offering to the Lord. Is that useful? Lots of offering stuff, how to burn it, how to kill it, sacrifice, yada, yada, yada. Is that useful?
It's archaic. It is.
Okay. Is it useful?
No, not now.
Should it be in the Bible 2.0?
No.
Okay, cool. So I'm working on the Bible 2.0 right now. I'm pulling out Leviticus. Hold on. Okay. Do you think that there was a literal Garden of Eden? Maybe Adam and Eve, that kind of thing?
No, to be honest,
no. Do you think there's original sin?
It's something I need to think about more.
Well, we're all born broken, all deserving of hell because Eve ate of the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil.
Damn women.
Right?
Who needs them?
You know what? That's. What do you think, Tom?
I'm not sure.
You know what? I would actually think that, institutionally blaming women for the pain and the suffering in the world is probably not a really great idea,
No.
especially
Let's
if we
get rid of
can't
Genesis, you know?
Right? Yeah, let's
do it.
go with Genesis.
What if God doesn't come down and give us a Bible 2.0, though? What do we do then?
I think we should still go on the old Bible. I think we should still
You think?
like that.
Well, I mean, the one we're making is getting a lot lighter,
Yeah.
so at least it'll be more travel ready.
So if we're going on the old Bible, do you think paedophilia is okay? Because the Bible never actually condemns that.
No.
No?
Obviously not.
Okay.
Obviously not.
Okay.
So I'm a little bit confused where we're getting these rules from. How do we pick which ones are okay in the Bible and which ones aren't?
Yeah, so I'm in Judges and I'm looking at the slaughtering of the Amalekites. That's a direct call to commit genocide. And in some of these, God actually got mad for them not being gruesome enough and saying, no, you left the infants and the animals in the fields. You need to go back and slaughter them too. Do you think we have anything to gain from that?
No, obviously not.
Okay, cool.
No.
So I'm pulling that one too. Right. I mean, we can work through. Ruth has had enough shit, but you know what? Actually, Ruth is one of the few books that really creates unrealistic standards for women. Let's see, what else? I mean, I think we're doing pretty well here. How about if we move to the end? Right. Let's go to Revelation. In Revelation, you have people who are, saying, oh, well, this is how the end of the world is going to come. It has influenced politicians to enact laws to try and bring about the end of the world. There have been prophecies that have justified people in doing horrendous things, including empowering cults to commit mass suicide. Right. Stories of monsters with covered in eyeballs and giant Leviathan from the deep. Do you think that's realistic or at all useful?
Obviously not. No.
Yeah, okay, cool. So I'm gonna. Do you wanna help with this?
Yeah, go on. I fancy
it's
a little
kind of
bit
fun.
of ripping.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're getting rid of Revelation, right?
Yeah, we're dropping it.
All
yeah.
gone. Don't need that.
No, I mean we're making a good Bible 2.0. Personally, I recommend the Book of Eric. It's pretty straight and to the point. Will be on sale when I finish writing it. I promise. It is just as infallible.
How much is it, Eric? How much is it?
How much is it? For you, my friend, free $99, because I can tell you, be a good person, and I absolutely love that you're open and willing to learning and growing.
Wait, is that pounds or dollars?
Ooh. Well, shit. I don't know. Do you think there's like a tax that's going to come over? If it gets
I don't know.
sent internationally? Fuck.
Yeah, I know. Just
So you
think
know
he'll come
what?
down and tell us. Will he price your book for you?
I'm such an asshole. Okay. So Tom, this is all to illustrate a very, very basic point. The very, very basic point that I'm trying to make is, pointing out that the Bible is a good place to start, or that it's a good resting place, is probably counterproductive to the point that you and I should be making, and Rachel should be making, and all of us should be working together on, which is we're growing and we're getting better. And when we look back to the writings of Bronze Age goat herders for our morality, then that's the morality we're going to wind up with. And it's not good enough.
I mean, the thing is, you sound like a smart guy and you can clearly think for yourself. And like when I ask you, is this wrong, yes, no, you know what's right and wrong. Just take that a little bit further. Start thinking about why it's right and wrong. So pedophilia, for example, not condemned in the Bible, but you know it's wrong because children can't consent. Therefore, sexually abusing children or committing like sexual acts on children hurts them emotionally, physically. It messes them up, right? You know that. So now just take that logic and apply that why is it wrong to everything else in your life. And you've got your moral code. You don't need a Bible 2.0. You know what it is. And so you take those values and you teach them to your kids. And that's how society works and grows and functions.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah.
Cheers to that.
I'll let you guys go anyway. Thanks for the talk. It was interesting.
All right.
Thank you for calling.
That's pretty fun, right?
I've enjoyed it. I've never destroyed a Bible before.
Well, there are a couple other pieces you could take out.
Yeah.
Could you rip a few while I thank our patrons?
Yeah, sure.
Right. So this is the part of the show where we thank the patrons. We are going to be taking more calls, but in the meantime, I want to thank our top 5 patrons. If you want to become a patron, you can go to patreon.com/talkheathen-to-me. That's patreon.com/talkheathen-to-me. Our top patron, as always, is Neil. Neil, you... Dr. Funkenstein, Nando Gonzalez, Lynette Ann Cross, and Joe Roll. Nope, this is okay. Without you, we wouldn't be able to make the show happen. We absolutely love that you're helping support us. If you want to become a patron, go to patreon.com/talkheathen-to-me. Jaime, save me! Help!
Don't make me throw the whole book.
Oh, that's not nice. Now I'm going to go in with the Book of Eric. All right. If he's not coming, then...
We have no Jaime.
Well, you know
We've
what?
got a Steve. He's looking
That's
a little bit
fine.
sheepish.
Let's bring him in here.
Come on, Steve. Sorry, I'm having too much fun with this.
Way too much fun.
I know.
Come on in, man.
It feels a bit wrong to destroy a book, but you know.
All right. Let's get you over here. Steve, let's get you on the side.
Alrighty.
And Jamie's going to come in because I think it's that time of the show.
Woohoo.
Jamie,
Oh, for a second I thought you were going to start a Bible fight.
let's show these people how we do it.
All
So at the end of every show,
Which you guys,
Can
you've
I
seen.
sit on your knee as well?
I don't know if there's room. He's a lot to handle.
All right. Well,
But it's
all right.
it's a nice thing. I feel
First, my hair isn't included in the poll, which is still live. If you care about Eric and don't want him to cry, you'll have to vote for his hair over rationality rules over there.
agree who has the best beard, though.
Well,
Oh, thank you.
I think yours is Rachel, but you know.
No, that's why then.
we are all
Fighting
friends here.
words. Yeah.
So what we do is we start by throwing some love rings up. Oh, did you see that?
Ooh.
That's pretty good.
Ooh, movie
And then
match.
I do have a
Appreciating
couple
my
other
heart.
friends. Can we grab them too?
Yes,
Ocean,
because I didn't think I
Thomas?
was going to be sitting here
Come
this
here.
long.
Come here, Ocean, Thomas,
Yeah,
come on
here.
up.
All right.
Come on up.
Hannah's not a YouTuber, but can we bring her in?
Come on.
She's done
Come
so
on.
much this week.
It's about Ocean. It's about time Ocean Keltoy got to sit down in here.
Oh, Jesus.
Right? I mean, it's about like
What have you done?
heathen representation, right? Come on.
Well, I guess now that we have a real
Thomas?
heathen on the show.
Yeah. Right? All right. So,
There we go.
so we start by saying that if you don't believe this is your community, right?
Hi, we're cool. We promise.
You belong here, and we're so glad that you made it.
And if you do believe, we
do you
don't
remember
hate you,
the- do you
even
remember
though
the
you're
end? Do you
fucking
remember how we
wrong.
finished? We say if you don't believe, or if you do believe, we don't
okay.
hate you. We just think you're wrong. Can we do that together?
Wait a minute, but I believe though.
Okay, well then you can just.
I'll just shut the
Yeah, I was
fuck
gonna
up.
say
Just be pretty for a minute.
you can say
You're good
if
at
you
that.
do believe in Jesus.
If you do
Oh, well,
believe,
there's the
yeah, there
Jesus
you
thing.
go.
Yeah,
If you
it's
do
like
believe,
that weird monotheistic omni thing that's on there.
There's a blank page.
Everybody?
We can
Oh, look
start
at
our
that.
own.
we don't hate you.
We don't hate you.
Just think
think
you're
you're
wrong.
wrong.
See you next week. Thank you all. Bible fight.
Bible fight.